In today's video, I want to explore the true meaning of being a victim of narcissists and present 18 indicators that can help you determine if you are experiencing this situation. I will explain why it is so important to understand this concept and, finally, discuss strategies that will enable you to begin the healing process rather than merely managing the symptoms. Although this term is not officially recognized in the field of mental health, it resonates deeply among those who have experienced narcissistic abuse, as it accurately describes the emotional and psychological impact these relationships cause. It is a way of naming and understanding the marks left by such traumatic experiences. Today, we are going to analyze how the victim syndrome of narcissists manifests. I have prepared a list of 18 signs, which is not an exhaustive inventory, and I invite you to pay close attention to what I have to share. If you have experienced something similar, please leave a comment indicating how many of these signs you recognize in yourself or if there are others you believe should be included. One of the first signs is the constant feeling that you are walking on eggshells. This sensation can arise in such a subtle and gradual manner that you might not even notice it until you realize that you are living in a state of constant fear. For example, you may begin to feel anxiety at specific moments, such as when the narcissist is about to come home, as if you are anticipating their mood and reactions without knowing what to expect. Over time, this feeling becomes permanent, making you feel as if you are in an emotional minefield where every step represents a risk. Another important sign is hypervigilance, that is, an elevated state of sensitivity and alertness to possible threats. This can manifest through symptoms such as sweaty hands, an accelerated heartbeat, and constantly scanning eyes, indicating that your nervous system is trying to protect you. In the context of narcissistic abuse, the body begins to confuse real threats with perceived ones, such as the narcissist's anger or emotional attacks, interpreting these reactions as imminent dangers and maintaining a chronic state of alert. Furthermore, many victims become trapped in a placating response, suppressing their authenticity in exchange for a sense of safety or in order to please the abuser. In this scenario, being yourself comes to be seen as something dangerous, reinforcing this pattern of behavior. Another indicator of the victim syndrome of narcissists is difficulty in establishing boundaries. After experiencing this type of abuse, it is common to not even know what boundaries are or to feel incapable of enforcing them in your life, despite understanding their importance. It is also common to experience extreme difficulty in dealing with the discomfort caused by others' emotions. When someone expresses anger or disappointment, you may feel an almost irresistible need to do something to improve that person's mood. Constant gaslighting corrodes your trust in your own intuition, as if a magnet had diverted the needle of your internal compass, leading to a dependency on external validation. The paradox is that you end up seeking that validation precisely from the person who is undermining your self-confidence, creating a devastating cycle that can persist even after the relationship ends. Depression is another common response to this type of abuse, often associated with a kind of freezing of the autonomic nervous system. During the period of abuse, you are not allowed to be happy or shine, because, in the narcissist's view, your brightness diminishes theirs. Every attempt to be authentic is punished. As a result, your nervous system begins to associate happiness with danger, and even after the relationship ends, this response may continue to prevent you from living fully. In some cases, a fight response may emerge. When your patience runs out and you react with anger, it can cause a brief pause in the abuse, which the narcissist interprets as a victory. This dynamic gradually transforms a calm and patient person into someone with a short fuse, exactly what the narcissist desires, as it allows them to shift the responsibility for the conflict onto you. Toxic shame is another devastating feeling that arises in this context, not merely feeling that you did something wrong, but believing that you are fundamentally flawed. This shame can be so intense that even breathing becomes painful, making you feel unworthy of good things, even if you have already worked to overcome previous traumas. Over time, your passions and personal interests begin to be set aside, a result of the conditioning imposed by the narcissist, who uses punishments and rewards to shape your behavior. This process can lead to persistent mental confusion, with your mind trapped in repetitive cycles of negative thoughts, as if you were listening to the same song over and over again without finding any solutions. Finally, this confusion and lack of internal security often result in a constant feeling of vulnerability, even when the narcissist is no longer part of your life. Your body remains on high alert, always expecting a new attack, and it can be extremely difficult to convince your mind that the danger has passed. This discussion of the 18 signs is meant to help you identify the consequences of narcissistic abuse and take the first step toward healing and recovering your emotional health. Often, this pattern culminates in compulsive behaviors, because behind every addiction there is a body searching for security. Regardless of the addiction, whether it is alcohol, drugs, shopping, sex, or any other, the goal is to alleviate the persistent feeling of insecurity left by the abuse. Additionally, there is the phenomenon known as abuse amnesia, a topic featured in several videos on the channel, where the brain attempts to cope with chaos. Chronic stress gradually erases painful memories and latches onto any minimal sign of kindness that the narcissist offers, which, although it may seem like a survival strategy, keeps you trapped in this cycle of abuse. Narcissistic abuse can also intensify or generate negative beliefs that you develop during childhood, or even create new ones, such as, there is something wrong with me, I am a bad person, or I am selfish. Unconsciously, the abuser projects his own beliefs onto you, and by the end of the relationship, you internalize this profoundly negative self-image. It projects these very beliefs onto you, and by the end of the relationship, you end up internalizing this extremely negative view of yourself. In addition to the emotional damage, the effects of the abuse also manifest physically. Many survivors begin to experience gastrointestinal issues, such as irritable bowel syndrome, unexplained muscle pains, chronic fatigue, or insomnia. These symptoms reflect the direct impact that the abuse has on the body and demonstrate that the trauma extends far beyond what the mind endures. One of the most striking signs of narcissistic abuse victim syndrome is the feeling of no longer recognizing yourself, of having lost your identity. It's as if, in an attempt to please the abuser, you had amputated a part of yourself, repeatedly adapting your personality to satisfy someone who is never satisfied. In the end, you feel lost, not knowing who you truly are, a sentiment frequently expressed by victims who lament the absence of their former selves and ask, "Where did I lose myself? What happened to me?" Another symptom is experiencing an emotionally polarized state, where you oscillate between intense peaks of anxiety and depression without finding any balance. Our nervous system is designed to handle stress through a healthy flow between activation and relaxation. However, narcissistic abuse overwhelms this system, creating a short circuit that persists even after the relationship ends, turning your life into a constant battle to manage the lingering symptoms. Beyond the 18 signs briefly mentioned earlier, there are 3 other important aspects: emotional flashbacks, self-abandonment, and an extremely critical internal or external voice. Self-abandonment becomes evident when you find yourself always putting others' needs ahead of your own, to the point where you lose the ability to manage your own emotions that have been repeatedly neglected. Simultaneously, that critical voice, whether internal, harshly judging you, or external, constantly demeaning you, reinforces the pain of the abuse. In broader contexts, what is known as the narcissistic abuse victim syndrome is actually a collection of symptoms associated with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, CPTSD, as I have discussed in other videos. Focusing solely on the term victim syndrome ends up directing our attention to the abuser and their actions when, for recovery, it is essential that the focus shifts to the healing process itself. Initially, facing these wounds may seem impossible, as confronting your own pain can evoke feelings of shame or guilt, as if everything were your fault. However, this transition is crucial. Just as a baby initially can only consume milk before being ready for solid food, we must pass through this phase of understanding before moving forward with trauma recovery. Moving toward recovery from CPTSD is not simple, as it requires confronting deep and painful wounds. It is a process that, although uncomfortable, is indispensable for restoring your life and allowing you to move on. If you feel ready to focus on recovering from CPTSD, consider a few important points when choosing a support program or resource. First, work with a professional who understands narcissistic abuse and its effects on both the body and behavior, so that you do not inadvertently end up feeling shamed or blamed for issues unrelated to you. Second, seek a healing method that integrates both mind and body, using somatic approaches that facilitate the incorporation of new insights and help unblock your nervous system's responses. Third, find a safe community where you can share your experiences and listen to similar stories. as human connection is crucial for healing the wounds left by abuse. And finally, ensure that the support is consistent, with no long intervals between sessions, so that progress is continuous and you build a solid foundation for recovery. As a physician who has also experienced this reality, my goal is to offer compassionate care to everyone seeking help. During private consultations, we can address issues such as anxiety, depression, symptoms of PTSD, insomnia, sleep disorders, chronic pain, muscle tension, digestive problems, and constant fatigue, ensuring complete confidentiality and a safe environment in which you can openly discuss your symptoms, while providing precise medical guidance for your recovery. If you need specialized support to regain your health and well-being, please visit the link in the description of this video or type the address shown on your screen. Furthermore, if you appreciate the format of the videos I produce and are looking for a structured, didactic method with practical exercises focused on recovery, check out my Breaking the Chains program. Developed especially for survivors of relationships with narcissists, the program offers techniques for emotional distancing, strategies to deal with guilt and shame, guidance on how to handle the abuser, including when children are involved, and various other essential tools to help rebuild your identity. You will also have access to a transcript and a downloadable PDF, in addition to joining a support group with people who are advancing in their healing process. To access this material, simply click the link provided below in the video description. Before closing, I want to leave you a message. You can also support my YouTube channel. By doing so, you will receive benefits such as access to the support group, the opportunity to suggest topics for videos, participation in exclusive live sessions, and even discounts on my products and consultations. Check out my new membership club by clicking the link below and become a member. Finally, if you can, please leave a comment sharing your thoughts about this video. This helps YouTube recognize the relevance of the content, allowing more people to delve deeper into this topic. You can also watch the video, More Than 30 Signs That You Are in an Abusive or Narcissistic Relationship. Thank you very much for watching until the end. A big hug, and see you in the next video on the channel.